did also want to share this. President Trump just taking to social media to say, I have just been informed that we have destroyed and sunk 9 Iranian naval ships, some of them relatively large and important. We are going after the rest. They will soon be floating at the bottom of the sea also. In a different attack, we largely destroyed their naval headquarters. Other than that, their Navy is doing very well. Signed, President Donald J. Trump. Dr. Majid, when you take a look at this very latest information from the president, what does this indicate to you in terms of, a successful ongoing operation?
Right. Well, it tells me the policy of appeasement to the regime is ending. It tells me that the free world's wishes are better aligned now with the wishes and aspirations of the people of Iran. That the appeasement paved the way, unfortunately, for this destructive war, as all wars are destructive and costly. And so the best way would have been to empower the people of Iran and recognize their right to overthrow this regime decades ago. But unfortunately, that did not occur, and we engaged in multiple negotiations and agreements with the regime in Iran, which it was only doing not in good faith, but also to only to buy itself time. But right now, it is isolated, the regime. It is Navy, as the president mentioned, is by all means destroyed. It is facing a restive population, and its backs are against the wall. It's diplomatically isolated, and it's economically incapable of even feeding the Iranian people. And so it has to face the population. That fighting force is ultimately the solution, the overthrow of the regime by the men, women, and young resistance fighters inside Iran. And that infrastructure is already there. We shouldn't heed regime's paranoia or expressions of wishing for diplomacy. The path forward is establishment of a democratic republic. And so to that end, the National Council of Resistance of Iran just yesterday announced the provisional government so that the power can be transferred from the regime to the people of Iran. Mind you, the first iteration of this provisional government was first introduced in 1981, October 1981, by the NCRI. And since then, the NCRI has been working to overthrow this regime in line with the desires and aspirations of the people of Iran.
We're taking a live look at a rally happening right now in New York City in support of the Iranian people. President Trump continues to encourage the people of Iran to rise up to this moment and overthrow the regime. As you take a look at that, from your experience, how realistic is this possibility?
Well, I see in your screen the picture of Reza Pahlavi, the son of a former dictator in Iran, whose only claim to legitimacy is that he's son of a dictator. He has never disavowed the crimes of his father. I remind your audience that most of the prisons that were built in Iran and the regime is using, including Evin, Ghazal Hisar, and other prisons, were built by Reza Pahlavi's father, the former dictator Shah of Iran. And so Iran will never go back to single-party monarchy. Iranian people have already said goodbye to that by overthrowing his father. And certainly he has not shown any level of sacrifice that's necessary to earn leadership. In fact, he was on this very last uprising, on the 6th day of uprising, he was on a beach in South America while the people of Iran were bleeding. And so those who hold his pictures have no pulse of the Iranian people on the streets of Iran. On the other hand, the MEK members who are fighting in the streets of Iran have the pulse, are the pulse of the Iranian people. And so no power from outside can be inserting anybody to replace the government in Iran. At the same time, I do not believe the IRGC will step aside and cede power to the West. But at the same time, I also know that the Iranian people are capable of overthrowing this regime. They have a provisional government that has been in place for decades. It has a well-established plan, the 10-point plan by Mrs. Mayam Rajavi that has widespread support, not only globally by more than 4,000 parliamentarians, but also by the United States Congress through two different sessions of Congress, both the 118th, 119th Congress, through House Resolution 100, House Resolution 1148, and in this session of Congress, House Resolution 166, a bipartisan majority supporting her 10-point plan for a free, democratic, and non-nuclear republic. And we want, and we think the administration should heed Congress's suggestions and recognize the NCRI.
As we continue to look ahead, you know, while this is happening in Iran, it's also happening in a larger region. With the developments that we continue to monitor and report on, you know, what is the risk of perhaps the region, all of this spilling over into the region and the impact that this might have?
Right. Well, it takes the regime has been a lot of bravado and a lot of showmanship, but the only thing they have done thus far is kill innocent civilians in the streets of Iran. The only way to address this regime is to stand in front of it. The international community, the United States, and all policymakers abroad, outside of Iran, I mean, should take their heed from the Iranian people. The Iranian people are standing up to this regime. This regime is run by the IRGC. It was before Khamenei died, and is still being run by the IRGC. Yes, there will be infighting between the regime officials after the death of Ali Khamenei, but this regime's only know-how is to kill and to create chaos and conflict. And the streets of Iran speak for that, because they killed more than 400 people in just the past 2 months alone, in the past month alone, as same in January. That's more than 10 people each day. And so they will continue to do that, and the harm that they will do to their neighbors and to our America's installations obviously will be there as long as this regime is in existence. And so we should support the Iranian people. We should empower the Iranian resistance politically so that they can overthrow this regime. The kinetic energy on the ground matters. The capability on the ground matters. The political infrastructure in the NCRI matters. And certainly the plan for a transition period so that elections, nationwide elections, can be held within 6 months matters. And that's why we support the National Council of Resistance of Iran.
As the world continues to watch the developments among the international Iranian community, what is the sense? Is there one of hope? Is there one of concern? What is the mood?
I think hope. I think better engagement and involvement. I think our job and my job here right now is to help inform, but with a hand and a pulse on the streets of Iran, not from democracies of the West. The streets of Iran don't speak, unfortunately, of vibrance that you see. They speak of resistance. They speak of fighting. They speak of people who are rising up even at the mourning of their daughters and children at the grave sites. They are resisting this regime, and this regime needs to be fought with and kicked out of Iran forever. So although these bombs weaken the regime, bringing about secular democracy and a non-nuclear republic in Iran is a job and a responsibility of the Iranian people. And their organized resistance is a task they accepted with honor and are sacrificing to accomplish that. And all we ask our policymakers is to offer them, as the United States Congress has done, to offer them moral and political support.
And do you think that a regime change is within reach?
I think regime change is very much within reach. I think this regime doesn't have much long left. I think it's ideologically, politically, economically, and even militarily is decapitated. I think it is going to, unfortunately, just like a rabid wolf pinned against the wall, bite. And we need to be aware of it. We need to be cautious and let those people on the ground who know this regime well fight this regime, offer them support.
Dr. Majid, we appreciate you joining us here on Live Now from Fox.
Thank you.